Hello there, welcome to day 6. So we have day 6 of Vlogmas, and some of you will know it is not just Vlogmas today. What is today? It is my birthday. Yes, so my birthday today. Thank you for all the happy birthday wishes, much appreciated. And those who saw my shorts this morning, you will see I said how old I am on my shorts, so check that out if you haven't seen that so far. Okay, so today is letter F. What did you think letter F would stand for on my Christmas Vlogmas? We had guesses, obviously lots of guesses thinking I was going to talk about Father Christmas for letter F. It is not that. Try to get the antlers in, there we go. And also somebody guessed fantasy. It's not that. What else could you have guessed? Nobody said fairies. You would have thought fairies on the Christmas tree, perhaps, or festival, perhaps. No. So drum roll as to what we are going to talk about for today, Vlogmas Day 6. Well, we talked the other day about fasting, how some countries actually fast for Christmas Eve. So the opposite of that is, of course, feast or feasting on food and your favourite food. And today I thought I would talk a little bit about your favourite chocolate brands and how they came to be. So the first one, I'm sure most of you know of Cadbury's. So you have Fry's chocolate and Cadbury's chocolate. And it says, in 1824, a young Quaker, John Cadbury, opened a shop at 93 Ball Street, Birmingham, chiefly for the sale of tea and coffee in England. The family's connection with the Society of Friends had begun in the earliest days of the Quaker movement. Medical literature of the 18th century recommended chocolate for its beneficial qualities. Manufacturers quickly realised that this supposed potion could be made into a particularly pleasant and palatable drink. Cocoa beans were roasted over an open charcoal fire, made by hand, ground and crushed on a heated slab. The ground mass was then mixed with flavourings and sugar in copper or tin pans, and the final tablets were shaped by hand and cooled on tins before final packing. At that time, eating chocolate was virtually unknown, and production consisted of making tablets of chocolate, which the consumer placed at the bottom of a chocolate cup and added milk or water. In John Cadbury's early days, the sale of cocoa and chocolate was merely a sideline. He roasted his own cocoa beans and ground them by hand with a pestle and mortar. He was an energetic man with an eye for business and display. He had a Chinese figurine in a native costume serving at his tea counter, and in his shop there was always something to attract and hold the attention of customers. On a domestic scale, he mastered the essentials of cocoa and chocolate making, which he and his successors were to develop and perfect. If sugar was included, the product was labelled chocolate. If not, it was cocoa. His trading in drinking chocolates and cocos was so successful that in 1831 he rented a small factory in Crooked Lane near to his shop. Here he developed the manufacturing side of his business. He devoted himself firstly to his shop, then his factory, but he was also a pioneer in smoke abatement, as well as being active in religious and other works. The nearest approach to the highly refined cocoa powder of today was the so-called soluble cocoa. It did not really dissolve, but it remained in a fine suspension in the liquid. Almost all the products which he made were for drinking. In 1842, he was selling 16 different sorts of chocolate and 11 cocos. Chocolate for eating was still a novelty. The retail business was given up in 1849 in order to concentrate on manufacturing. In 1853, they received the royal warrant and have held such warrants ever since. When the business passed into the hand of John's sons, Richard and George, in 1861, they set about reorganising it and lifting it out of a period of decline. In 1866, they started making pure cocoa, known as Cadbury's Cocoa Essence, being advertised as absolute pure, therefore best. At first, it was a hard struggle to establish a new line. Opponents decided they had lost its nourishing qualities. By the 1870s, the partners were looking for new premises and decided to move into the country. The Bournebrook estate came on the market in 1878. It was 4 miles southwest of Birmingham, near to a railway and canal, and between two main roads. It also had a good water supply. The brothers bought the 14.5 acres of the estate. Originally, it had been intended to call the factory Bournebrook Works. Early on, however, the name was changed to Bourneville, and this was in favour of French chocolate. At the time, French confectionery was highly prized, so Ville, French for town, was added to Bourne, and that was made Bourneville. The new factory was taken over in 1879, but since the then floor space had been increased 40 or 50-fold, and the original site has been extended to 47 acres. Further neighbouring land has been converted into works recreation grounds, much of which has subsequently been built on. George Cadbury built houses near the works for key workers, and in 1893 he bought a further 120 acres of land near the works, which he built in harmony with the infant Garden City movement. In 1900 he handed over his land and houses to Bourneville Village Trust, with the proviso that the revenue from the property was to be devoted to the extension of the estate and the promotion of housing reform. Cadbury Brothers made their first milk chocolate in 1897. The early Bourneville product was similar to the dark variety then being imported from Switzerland. Experiments went on at Bourneville, and the result of a light chocolate containing more milk was introduced in 1905. This chocolate, made with fresh full cream milk, was named Cadbury's Dairy Milk. Its sales increased rapidly, breaking the Swiss monopoly of the milk chocolate market to become the best-selling moulded chocolate bar in the UK. Bourneville Cocoa, with its distinctive chocolatey flavour, was introduced in 1908. Plain Tray was introduced in 1914, and the milk chocolate version, in its distinct purple box with gold script, appeared a year later. Workers were always thought of as part of the family, and in 1918, elected work councils were set up, one for men and another for women employees. These councils were concerned with working conditions, training, and the social life of the employees, and continued for over half a century. In 1919, Cadbury's brothers merged with J.S. Fry and Sons of Bristol. The history of Fry extends through 10 regions, from George II to Elizabeth II. Walter Churchman, who had premises in Bristol in 1728, invented a water engine which he used to make chocolate. In 1731, he was granted a letters patent for the sole use of an engine by him invented for the expeditious, fine and clean making of chocolate to greater perfection than by any other method in use. The patent purposes to sell chocolate at common prices. When Walter Churchman's son died in 1761, John Fry took the opportunity to expand his trade and purchase the patent. Joseph, a Quaker, was born in 1728 and settled in Bristol when he was about 25 years old. In the autumn of 1756, he announced in the local press, "The best sorts of chocolate made and sold wholesale and retail by Joseph Fry in Small Street, Bristol." This advertisement is one of the earliest associations of the name Fry with chocolate. In 1822, Joseph's 3 grandsons, Joseph, Francis, and Richard, constituted the firm of J.S. Fry's and Sons. The name it has borne ever since. Between 1860 and 1907, Fry opened 7 more factories in Bristol. No doubt the increased demand was at least partly due to the introduction of the now famous chocolate cream bars in 1866 and the first true milk chocolate, which was commercially developed in 1902. Fry became a registered private company in 1896, having 7 directors, all members of the Fry family, and 4,500 employees. Turkish Delight was introduced in 1914, Crunchy in 1929, and up to 1938, no less than 189 new lines were introduced. In 1921, the entire Fry business was transferred from Bristol to a new site, now known as Somerdale. This was midway between Bristol and Bath. The name Somerdale was chosen as a result of a national competition in 1923, and the site there extends over many acres of countryside. The merger of Cadbury in 1969 with Schweppes and subsequent developments have led to Cadbury Schweppes taking the lead in both the confectionery and soft drink markets in the UK. Cadbury Schweppes now manufactures products in 60 countries and trades in over 120 worldwide. So I hope you found that quite interesting. I'm sure most of you have heard of Cadbury's and have it possibly in your country. Tell me your favourite chocolate. What is your favourite chocolate? Let me know in the comments below. And what else do you really like to eat at Christmas? Let's have a quick interlude. So, yes, let me know your favourite chocolates. Is it a special type of chocolate that makes Christmas for you? It's not Christmas without a certain chocolate. And also in the comments below, let me know what you think will be my theme for tomorrow, the letter G. What will I be talking about tomorrow? And don't forget, you get points for a prize with the person who gets the most right and who comments the most under my lives at the end of Vlogmas. And my Vlogmas will finish on December the 31st. So I challenge you to keep watching, build up your points, and tell me what you think I will be talking about tomorrow for Christmas letter G. Till next time, as always, Meraki.